Eli, who do the Pelicans use the number 4 pick on? Now, he had this blockbuster trade. The Lakers get lucky in the lottery. They move up to number 4. Mm-hmm. They use that to make a package that brings in Anthony Davis. This shakes up the whole lottery. The Pelicans were already there at the top. We know who they're taking there. The world knows that Zion, Ja Morant, and R.J. Barrett are going to be the top 3 picks. Then it's just gotten interesting. Now, you've got that roster. You've got Jrue Holiday, and you've got Zion Williamson. I think that those are the pieces that you build around. Mm-hmm. Who are you putting next to them, and what kind of player do you even want next to them?
So the 3 players that I think we both had in mind are Jarrett Culver, Kobe White, or finally DeAndre Hunter. So those 3 guys I think pop out the most. But at the same time, any player that is projected to go top 8 can be at that 4th spot, because after the 3rd pick, the draft kind of dies down, and you're not sure who can be picked at 4th. The same person that can be projected to be at 4th could go all the way down to 8th. Mm-hmm. It's so tough to see because there's going to be so many mistakes from different teams picking this year, and I think those 3 guys are going to have a possibility of being the 4th.
So Zion looks like kind of a generational talent. He's the type of guy that you build your whole franchise around.
Yep.
He looks like he's going to be a power forward. That's maybe a little bit short, but makes up for it with his amazing vertical. Mm-hmm. And I'm just trying to think, out of those guys that we mentioned, who do we think fits best there? You've got Jarrett Culver, who's kind of a traditional 2 guard, I would say. His athleticism doesn't really jump off the screen at you, but he's just kind of a solid all-around dude. I keep calling him Evan Turner. That's kind of what he reminds me of. Evan Turner's not an insult. Evan Turner's a really good player.
Yeah.
He's got some of that game where he can facilitate a little bit. He can score, kind of. He can shoot, kind of. And then you've got a guy like DeAndre Hunter, who's bigger, stronger, feels like he's ready to step in and play right now. But do we care if somebody's ready to step in and play right now when we've got Zion? Are we on the 1-year plan? Are we trying to make the playoffs next year, or are we on the 3-4-year plan?
I think we're in the 3-4-year plan because, it depends how everyone translates next year on the new teams. Obviously, you have Lonzo, Ingram, Josh Hart coming in, and obviously this 4th and Zion coming in. You can't just go into this year and think, chemistry's going to be fine, because that's not going to be fine at all. You cannot just bring 5 guys off the streets, put them all together, and think, we're going to be the Boston Celtics, 1886. Yeah, it just isn't. So you got to adapt to that, and I think it all depends on how the team kind of glues together.
Yeah.
Right? So, you're 40 games in or you're 42 games in halfway through the season and the team is working great. Do you push for the playoffs? Yeah, you're already going to be in the playoffs. The team's working great. So do you contend? Those guys are going to need, some experience in the playoffs before. They're not going to be able to contend in their first year. So, I think push as far as you can, get as much playoff experience as you can get, and then come back in 2 to 3 years. I think they're going to be ready.
Okay. How do you feel about flipping that number 4 pick for a veteran that can play right now?
No. Well, I think maybe your best option is to trade down and then get someone back, possibly. Plus, another pick that's not the 4th pick, but top 10 pick. Because right now, their center position's kind of weak, and I think there's loads of big men in this draft, but they're kind of projected to go lower. So I wouldn't think taking Jackson Hayes at the 4th pick. I think that would be kind of a stupid move, kind of a waste. So I think if you're able to, trade down, possibly get another pick or get that pick, and then possibly another player, that just helps you. You're able to pick a player that you want at a lower position, plus getting more experience possibly with another veteran or possibly another player.
Sure. So let's say somebody knocks your socks off. The Spurs ring up and they're like, we'll give you DeMar DeRozan for the number 4.
I'll take that.
Okay.
What the heck?
Okay, of course. So the Suns will give you Josh Jackson.
That's it.
That's it.
No.
No deal. Okay, so somewhere in between Josh Jackson and DeMar DeRozan, there's a happy trade.
Well, okay. So how old is Josh Jackson? He's still young, right?
Very young. He's probably
Very
20,
young.
21. Well, he played 2 or 3 years of college at Kansas.
He hasn't really adapted that well, and it's kind of tough because I know you're a big fan of him.
Yeah.
Haven't watched a bunch of the Suns myself, so I don't know.
I was a fan of his potential.
Yeah.
I'm not so much a fan of his reality.
But obviously he hasn't turned out too well yet. But that's yet. He's loads of potential to work up to. Yeah. But I think DeMar DeRozan, he's a guy.
Yeah,
he's that guy.
Already. So it's just to illustrate. I don't want to turn this into the Josh Jackson discussion, but there's a trade out there, and if you one thing that you really can't do, or one thing that doesn't work very well, is you keep drafting rookies and throwing them out on the court, and you're just perennially bad. Mm-hmm. You generally have to mix in some vets. Even if you take a look at something like the Sacramento Kings, what they've done. So they're a good young team, but don't forget that it started by bringing in a good, solid coach. And there was a couple of years there where you had Zebo, Zach Randolph. And you had who was it? Was it Costa Koufos, or I don't know? You had a bunch of vets that played with them. Mm-hmm. It was almost like a throwaway year. People discounted it as a throwaway year, but what you're doing is teaching these kids how to be pros. Mm-hmm. And now, a couple of years later, we're looking at Buddy Hield and we're saying, oh, this guy's like a real legitimate, shooting guard. De'Aaron Fox, he's an up-and-comer. He could be one of the better point guards in the league very soon. Mm-hmm. So I think that same thing applies here. You can't just take all the Lakers youngsters plus Zion and just say, well, there's a team.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to bring in a vet. Now, as far as the number 4 pick, if gun to your head, which of these guys are you taking for New Orleans?
I'm thinking I'm taking DeAndre Hunter because I think you already have a point guard in Lonzo.
Andrew Holiday.
Yeah. Not only that, Jarrett Culver is more of a 2 guard, you said, in the league. So I think again, Drew Holiday's already there, along with Josh Hart. I think DeAndre Hunter is going to be the guy.
Okay, you think Jarrett Culver's the pick? DeAndre Hunter to me is like a sort of a stronger version of Jarrett Culver. Maybe he's a little bit less skilled. Yeah. I don't like any of these picks for them, to be perfectly honest. I think that you trade out of there and you get you get a veteran presence, even if that means just bringing in. For the 4 pick is not going to net you a star player. So I think that if you could trade, let's say you trade with somebody like the Celtics down at 14, or even the Hawks. The Hawks are unlikely to want to use all of their picks. The Celtics are unlikely to want to use all 3 of their first rounders. You can trade down into that 10 range, maybe pick up another player or another future pick. And because of the flat nature of this draft, the guy that you pick at 10 might not be worse than the guy that you pick at 4.
Yeah.
You look at, what was it, the 1998 draft. Number 9 is Nowitzki and number 10 is Paul Pierce. And if you look through the list of players taken ahead of them, Larry Hughes, hello. Larry Hughes was a great player, but he wasn't, he wasn't Nowitzki.
Yeah.
This projects to be one of those drafts to me. You could trade down to 10, take Sekou Doumbouya, and maybe, arguably, end up with the 4th best pick in the draft. I think that's a smart thing to do. Mm-hmm. I'm trading the pick. You're taking Jarrett Culver. I think that.
Well, I'd not say I was taking Jarrett Culver. Okay. You said if to a gun to your head, you had to pick someone. I'm not taking Jarrett Culver, that's for sure.
Okay.
I would trade down.
You wanted to trade him for DeMar DeRozan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's not happening. Gun to your head, you take Jarrett Culver. If you have the freedom, to make some kind of a deal, would you rather trade it or would you rather make this pick?
Trade it.
Okay.
That 4th pick is so.
How do you feel about taking Cam Reddish?
At the 4th pick?
Yeah. He played with Zion all year. Mm-hmm. It was up and down. He showed some flashes, and then he kind of dogged it at times. I don't know if he's an alpha dog or if he's just a weenie dog. How do you feel about a guy like Cam Reddish, a high upside pick? I'd put Cam Reddish and Darius Garland. Do you think it's still time to be rolling the dice now that you got Zion, or do you say Zion is our guy and let's just start building a fort around him?
I mean, if you bring in Cam Reddish. He's already played with the Zion, so he knows how to play it. But you haven't really seen how Cam Reddish plays because he's had, Zion and RJ around him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get much of the ball.
It was not great.
Yeah.
What I saw when he was with Zion.
It wasn't. You're thinking that team should win every single game, and they went out, and it was relatively easily they went out, and so it made the tournament kind of dead. But anyway, Cam Reddish, I think I'd rather see him at a different team rather than the same team as Zion. But then again, you can't force that. It's New Orleans' decision if they want to trade it or not. I think they should still trade it. I wouldn't pick Cam Reddish at 4. I would trade him.
Okay, so that's our final decision, I guess. Best thing to do is trade that number 4 pick and try to put somebody solid next to Zion.
Yep.